Julius Productions. Sit down, get comfy, and await your horror. Hello there everyone, welcome to my humble abode. How are you all doing today? Staying hydrated, I hope. Well, even if you're not, I welcome you to sit in and listen to my stories. The link to the author and original story will be linked in this description below. This story will be called I Was Trapped in a Phone Booth. It is a quite terrifying story that the title is self-explanatory for. Be sure to like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get started. I'm currently attending a night course at a local college. It takes me 1 hour to walk back to my apartment, but I don't mind walking alone at night. It gives me time to clear my head after class. I've spent the past few weeks like this, walking down the long road, never having reason to be on edge. But what happened on one evening has caused me to change my route home. It was a weeknight and I was walking down the usual streets that lead to my apartment. The sky was cloudy, and I could hear the sound of thunder in the distance. The street was devoid of traffic, and there was not a single person within sight. I turned a sharp corner at the end of the road. That's when I first heard it. The sound of a ringing phone. At the end of the road, in front of an old-fashioned antique shop, there was a vintage, time-worn phone booth. Was this where the ringing was coming from? As I got closer, I realized that the phone inside was ringing. Why would someone be calling this phone at such a late hour? Curious, I stepped inside, closed the door, and picked up the phone. When I raised the phone to my ear, I heard very faint breathing at the other end. Then the line abruptly disconnected. I hung up the phone confused and slightly creeped out. I figured someone was playing a prank on me. I then gathered my bearings and was prepared to leave. That's when I first saw him. There was a figure in front of the antique shop. His back was to me, and he was crouched down, looking down at the pavement. He was very skinny and long-limbed, and dressed in a worn, moth-eaten beige suit. He wore an oldish brown top hat over long, slicked jet black hair. When I saw him, I was instantly unnerved, and the hairs on my arms stood straight up. Then I did something I still regret. I opened the door, leaned out, and asked the man if he was all right. He didn't answer back. He remained absolutely still. After what felt like an eternity, he turned around ever so slowly. His face was shrouded in shadow, looking directly at me. Then something dreadful happened, and that still frightens me. He dropped on all fours and crawled towards the phone booth with unnatural speed. I frantically closed the door as he bashed his palms of his skeletal hands against the glass. While I desperately held the door closed, he pressed his face against the glass. His eyes were milky white, staring right at me. His mouth was stretched in a broad ear-to-ear smile. His teeth were very long. That's to say, if they even were teeth, they were more like fangs. His skin was gray, pulled tight against the bones. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Of course, I didn't have my cell phone. My only option was to use the phone in the booth. It took an unbearable amount of time to dial 911 due to the phone possessing a rotary dial. When I raised the phone to my ear, the other end was silent. There wasn't even a dial tone. I attempted to call several more times to no avail. The man's smile grew, stretching across his face. My blood ran cold as he began to laugh. He was mocking me. His laughter was muffled by the sound of thunder overhead. Then it started to rain. I could barely make out the man's silhouette as the street was blanketed in darkness. The occasional flash of lightning would reveal he was still standing there, glaring at me with swollen, colorless eyes. I waited for what felt like hours. When the storm passed, he wasn't there. It was as if he never existed in the first place. When I finally gained the courage to run away, I heard a sound that nearly caused me to jump out of my skin. The phone was ringing. My hands were shaking as I hesitantly picked up the phone. When I raised the phone to my ear, I heard laughter on the other end. That same laughter. Credit the Grand Jester. I will link his YouTube in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
No.